Hi, everybody. This is Brian.
And this is Shelby.
This is Sophie.
And I'm Phil.
Huzzah! And we're back at you for episode 1 of Pods and Ends. And today we are going to be discussing in our main event silver screen segment the crimes of Grindelwald.
Got several sections coming at you on this episode. We have a What's Your Jam section, where we'll be talking about all the various beats and bops that we've been listening to.
It's got a good beat and it's easy to dance to.
Yeah. We've got an off-the-shelf section, which is what it sounds like. What things we've been word nerding over. And then Netflix and chill. What kind of TV shows have we all been obsessing over and binge watching? And finally, the locker room. Any sporting events that we want to talk about, which will probably not involve me as much because I don't really do sports. If we go straight in with What's Your Jam? What is your jam, guys? What's everyone been listening to this week that's really been floating your boat?
Well, since Thanksgiving officially occurred, it is now legal in America to listen to Christmas music.
Literally, as we were putting the dishes away, I turned on Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. It was time. It's the inaugural song of Christmas.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for the day after. You can, as soon as you've had some form of Thanksgiving dinner, I think you can officially and unapologetically play your Christmas carols at large volumes.
We jammed. It was great. Well, we also have a song that we fondly call our Christmas song. Every couple has a song, but we have also a Christmas song.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was. We're driving somewhere and listening to
home, yeah.
Random Christmas music, and I think it's Nat King Cole.
It is,
and it's
happiest.
I'm the happiest Christmas tree. It's the goofiest song I've ever heard, but like we laughed probably for a half hour straight,
like till we cried.
Yeah.
So that's also a song
just because, yeah, so weird, and it's weird to be 38 years old and hear a Christmas carol for the first time.
Yeah,
it's not brand new, so I think
like,
that was part of
this?
what was funny about it. But yeah, where have they been hiding this gem? That was the real question. It's everywhere. It's weird. But yeah, what about you?
What would our Christmas song be, Soph?
I don't know, really.
Elton John, Step Into Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Step into Christmas.
He's already decided.
Yeah, that's...
He was just waiting to see if you had the right answer.
I want to know if Soph knew what it was, rather than...
I don't know, because I'm a bit... Oh, what I was going to say, what is everyone's favourite Christmas tune? I'll go first. Mine's The Pogues, which is weird, because it's a thoroughly depressing song if you listen to the lyrics, but Fairy Tale of New York, yeah?
Yeah.
What?
And
What
the
song is
bells are
this?
ringing out for Christmas Day.
You don't know the Fairy Tale of New York?
No.
Wow, we are going to educate you.
You
What
are
about Shakin' Stevens?
But they're from America. How can they not know about the
They're
Fairy
not
Tale of New
from
York?
America.
What the Pogues aren't?
No.
Are they not?
No.
Oh gosh, my mind.
Just because they sung about America doesn't mean they're from America.
Oh.
Okay,
Hmm.
fine.
Well, that's my favourite. Anyway, I can't believe no one's heard of it.
We'll send you a link.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely be sending you. Maybe we'll put it in the show notes as well. Everyone's
There you go.
Anything by Shakin' Stevens Christmas tunes.
Yeah, they're always
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah. Okay. What about you guys? What are some of your favourite Christmas jams?
Oh, well, White Christmas, for sure, considering it's my favorite Christmas movie as well.
Ah,
Bing Crosby.
I've never seen it.
What?
Oh, Shelby's head just came off.
Maybe we'll do a Christmas special of Pods and Ends.
Oh,
I think we
it has to
absolutely
happen.
should.
Yeah, and we'll set each other some of our favourite Christmas movies, and we'll all sit down and watch them. We'll watch White Christmas. You guys watch Love Actually, even if you've seen it already, because it's a great film. So, Brian, what about you? What's your favourite Christmas song?
I don't really have a favorite. I don't know. I always used to listen to Andy Williams when I was little, so for some reason that is just his voice is Christmas to me. So it doesn't really matter what he's singing.
Yours is Sleigh Ride.
Yeah, I do like that one. Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done.
No, that's
Ding,
not-
fries are done.
That's
I know,
not-
but that's funny. So anyway,
So,
Christmas!
so we've been listening to... Well, we were watching music channels, because we still have them.
Yeah.
Because Spotify and Google Music and
Google Play, is that what
yeah, all
I
those
don't
things.
know, I
Not
don't
really
know.
that big a thing in the Lawrence household because we're married and that.
Oh yeah, nice.
Just
Got that one
didn't
in
know.
there.
We're not brother and sister.
I don't know. You guys are big throners, so
Oh my god.
So it means that people are allowed to ship us together. Okay.
Yeah,
You can ship Shelby and Brian too. We're
Please
married
don't,
as
though.
well.
yeah. We're like your OTP, right?
OTP.
One A show.
true pair.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we put on the music channel the other night,
And flick through.
flick through, and we hit 50 best tunes of the 90s.
Yeah.
Any idea what was number one?
No.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
No,
No,
pop.
that-
Think pop.
Britney Spears, "Hit Me Baby"
No.
one more time.
Oh,
Yes!
That one,
How
yeah.
was I supposed
Oh.
to know?
Yeah. I can remember.
It was my first CD ever.
Did you used to do the
We're all very
dance
proud
moves
of
as
you.
well? Like we. Used to
Oh,
make up
absolutely.
dances. Yeah. It was.
You would put your VHS in whenever it was like playing on MTV and you knew it was coming up, and then you would record it, and then you would try and like learn the dance.
Yeah. Same. It was
Yeah, same. Except
simpler
it
times.
was Paradise City by Guns N' Roses, so that makes me cooler than all of you. Just saying.
You did win.
What else? What else was on this list?
Spice Girls,
Yes.
Aqua, Babby Girl,
Yeah.
because
Oh
I'm
my
a Babby
gosh.
girl
Yeah.
in a Babby world.
Wasn't there some of the like real kind of dancey?
No.
Yeah.
No.
There was a lot of the like
No, there's
90s dance. You cannot sing all of them, Phil.
Sorry.
Okay, it's just gonna.
But it was very nostalgic. There was Blur,
Yeah, I once.
Oasis. Oh, it's good.
Yeah, I once famously announced to Phil quite a few years ago now that I didn't feel like the 90s had a look where I felt like the 60s, 70s, and 80s really had a look. Now that you look back, you're like, oh yeah, the 90s had a look. You
Oh
can
yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
definitely see it.
Just pop on Friends real quick, and you're like, yeah.
Some
Yeah.
butterfly clips in your hair.
Yeah, get some highlights, some aggressive, streaky highlights going on as
Yes. Chunky highlights for
Frosted
days.
tips.
Frosted tips.
well. Yes. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet
Backstreet's Back
Boys.
Alright.
Yeah.
That was one of my favourites of that
Yeah.
list last night.
Were you a Backstreet Boys fan or an NSYNC fan or both?
Backstreet
Backstreet Boys, yeah.
Yeah, Backstreet was better.
What? You guys are all insane. I quit this podcast.
Let's move on to our next section, guys, which is off the shelf for any of our bookish and reading experiences over the last week. And I would say that Phil and I got very inspired by Shelby's recommendation last week, which was to download Webtoons.
I have downloaded an app on my phone to work out how long I sit on each app that I go on my phone. So I'm like, oh wow, I've been on Instagram for an hour and 15 minutes today. So I thought, okay, I'm going to download Webtoon because at least I'm doing something with my time. And I've very much enjoyed it. I would recommend it to everyone. I have been reading, engrossing myself with Toaster Dude, which is all about
Best
a
name
guy.
ever.
Which is all about a guy who wants nothing more in his life. His dream has been met that he's got a toaster, and then the
Achievable
toaster
goals.
gets robbed.
Oh no!
So it's then the story of getting the toaster back. Well worth it. And then
That is terrific. What a premise.
exactly, it's got like 120
Honestly.
episodes as well, I think. So,
Wow.
That's so good.
and then Adventures of God. So it's a satirical look at God's relationship with the devil and everyday life. And some of them are amazing. Some of them are a little bit over my head, but I'd highly recommend both of those. I think you're probably meant to like read these things for the drama of them or whatever, but these are just one-off sketches and they're brilliant. I love them. So, and I can sit there whilst I'm busy going through my daily routine and just read it for 2 minutes, and that one's done. Perfect.
Yeah.
What about you, Soph? What have you found on Webtoon?
I found just the very first one that I clicked into, which was True Beauty, which I obviously was interested straight away because the very first sort of sketch is her coming out of Gangnam Station, and obviously Phil and I have just come back from Korea, so I was like, I'm missing Seoul at the moment, so got straight in there with one that's set in Seoul. And it's very, very adorable at the moment. She's
And what's just happened?
boy has come into it, so obviously that's going to shake things up. But yeah, I mean, the premise is that she's basically, there's no kind way to word it, she's an ugly girl in real life who learns how to do makeup and becomes stunning. And I imagine there's going to be a bit of a kind of drama as to like if she's caught without her makeup, because she's almost unrecognizable without her makeup on. So sometimes people think she's two different people, and it's just.
So when she can't resist this boy anymore and he comes back for
Well,
one
he
night.
has seen her with no makeup on.
He has seen her?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
and
am
you've had that as well.
engrossed.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, it's just so engrossing. And actually, this probably segues nicely for Shelby, because you picked it up as well this week, didn't you?
I did. You said you were reading it, and I was like, "Ooh, I haven't read that one yet, but now I'm gonna have to, so we can talk about it."
Yeah.
And I'm binging it this morning, and it's so good. Also, it's just really hilarious the way it's drawn.
Yes.
The art is very good, and sometimes they even like take well-known memes and put it into the characters. Like they make those faces as if they are imitating the memes, which I find very funny.
Yes.
And very on the nose.
Well, that's kind of the whole draw to this thing, isn't it? I mean, I'm like way trying to catch up with this wagon because I've been doing other things. But just looking through it, the art is all really good.
Yes.
Which is...
For the majority. And I mean, the thing is, like, you can pay to have it promoted as an artist, and the most popular things are going to be the things with the best art, but anyone can upload their stuff. I've tried to get into a couple that have not as good of art, and it's still really good. I mean, it's just a really good way for artists to communicate with fans directly.
If I'm hearing this, I'm thinking, okay, this is like some people that maybe aren't that good at drawing or whatever, but this is, I mean, it's really, really impressive stuff.
I would pay for it.
Yeah, it's definitely regular comic quality, if not higher, if you've seen Marvel comics.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. Something in my throat there. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm not reading them because I look at it and think it's something I don't want to do. It's because I've been too busy with other things, unfortunately. But yeah, people out there, get into them and then tweet us and tell us what you like.
Yeah, what's your favorite webtoon? Let us know.
Moving on to our next segment, Netflix and chill. What TV shows have we been binging or loving this past week? And I think we have a unanimous one, bar Phil, unfortunately, because basically Phil worked 3 evenings this week, so I was like, I'm going to find something.
I did not work 3 evenings. You will find out what I was doing in the sports report.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, you were working, were you? Oh, yeah, I just...
It's a different kind of work.
Yeah. We got into, we being myself, Brian and Shelby, She-Ra.
Princesses of power!
By the power of Grayskull, let's talk about She-Ra.
Yes!
So perhaps we could explain, as Phil is a bit of a bystander here as well, what the premise of She-Ra is.
A virgin of it.
You are.
Do you want to get into the history, Brian, of She-Ra?
Well, I mean, She-Ra was basically like the girl version of He-Man back when I was a kid. I didn't really watch it. We watched the first part of the first episode anyway.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up well, unfortunately. Which honestly, neither does regular He-Man. It holds up if you watched it before because you're like, oh, I remember He-Man. But like coming in blind, you're just like, kids watch this? What is this? But I mean, essentially, if you've watched another Netflix show like The Toys That Made Us,
amazing.
yeah,
Highly
it's
recommend.
Really good. But it talks about He-Man and how they basically came up with this toy line and then needed a way to sell it, so they came up with a cartoon. And the cartoon was made to sell toys. It's not like the other way around, like we normally think of things being, like you have an IP and then people want more, so they make toys, blah, blah, blah. This was toys, and like, how are we going to sell these toys? Like, I don't know. How about a comic? And then they did that, and they're like, well, why not a cartoon show? Bam. So.
Right. And then they wanted to get into, like, the young girls market, so then She-Ra was born.
Right. And then in the first episode of the old show, it's basically just a He-Man episode. Like, we didn't even watch long enough to be introduced to She-Ra. But that's one thing I actually liked about the new one is they go right in and the He-Man-ness is all gone. It uses the same words like Eternian, Grayskull, and all that stuff. But there's really no mention of Adam or He-Man or any of that stuff at all. And it's really cool, I think, too, the way it's sort of a sci-fi fantasy mix, which I've seen before, but not often done very well. And this one kind of nails it. And I like the pretty simple art, too. I don't know. Just, it's a good story. I was enthralled. I didn't think I was going to be that into it, but I liked it very much.
No, me neither. Especially given as we're not really the target audience for this, and I knew that
Oh,
going
not at
into
all,
it. I
yeah.
was like, this is for younger girls, but there was just something really delightful about the whole show. I don't know if it gave me sort of, I don't know if you felt the same way, Shelby. That kind of, there was a Sailor Moon throwback to it. It's quite wholesome.
Oh, it's
fun,
very Magical
you know?
Girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they
And
have
she
the
was
transformation.
humorous. It had like that 90s
Yeah.
Sailor Moon feel of like her being kind of, I don't know, clumsy or, not perfect whenever she's in her not magical girl form.
Yeah.
Does Skeletor turn up?
No, but Skeletor's like, I don't know, evil doppelganger does.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not actually that far into it. So you guys have finished the series, is that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we knocked it out basically in one sitting, except we both fell asleep during the last episode, so we had to watch it the next morning. But yes, we crushed it, and it's very good.
Soph could do that, but she's always on Twitter, so
Oh, ha ha! So funny.
it's true. Okay, so moving on from not Skeletor, that would be an amazing program. She-Ra. This week on Channel 5, which is one of the old terrestrial channels, there was a 3-part series of Operation Live. So they went into 3 of the NHS hospitals in the UK and recorded live operations as they were happening.
Yeah.
Moment by moment, like there was a heart operation, there was a knee operation, there was a bowel operation, and you got to see them do everything, open them up, close them up, do the operation. It was literally incredible.
And they talk you through the whole
They
thing.
talk you through it.
didn't
There's
they?
like another surgeon commentates on it. It's literally,
Yeah.
I've watched all 3.
That's pretty fascinating.
Like the heart one was weird
Yeah.
because like, well, that's a beating heart, and they had to stop the heart with chemicals and stuff. And you're like, wow. Did the operation. The guy just like whizzed through it so fast, like an hour and 15
Well,
minutes.
these must be their standard operation. They wouldn't let you film, operations that are extremely complex
Yeah,
or
yeah.
life-threatening.
I don't reckon it's the guy's first go either.
No.
Yeah, bring the cameras in. We'll see what happens.
And then the second one was a bowel operation where he had potentially a cancerous tissue in his bowel. So they just chopped it out, and watching them do it, and the way they
That was surreal, wasn't it?
the
'Cause
way they did it, and they
actually
just
bring it
like
out.
tied it all back up was
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And then the last one was a knee
It
operation.
was the knee replacement, wasn't it?
And they said this one's a bit grim, and they put the knee at a tense state,
Yeah.
and then chopped it, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh! The other 2 I was fine with. This one made me go real queasy, and then they
Yeah.
started using like a hammer and a saw and stuff.
I
It
left
was-
the room by that point.
It was too bad, but it was so good. It was fascinating though.
Yeah, he was awake for that one though.
Yeah.
You can be awake for knee replacements just behind a screen, and they're just chatting away
They
to
gave
him.
him like a little bit of sedation, but they gave him a spinal
something
sedative.
Yeah.
So the bottom half of his body was completely numb, and they let him listen to some music, but they just kept him awake the whole time. It was the most
Yeah.
incredible thing.
I feel like the reason that one was the worst is because we can all relate to some kind of knee, but like we've all like caned our knee on a like, a desk
Right.
or a chair or something. We can all relate to knee pain. Where like I can't relate to like open heart surgery. That's just not something. But yeah, the knee, it was too real, but it was you're
And
right.
now
It was
I'm going to be very
fascinating.
political and British.
Oh no.
You've got to give a shout out to the NHS because all those operations were done for free.
Oh yeah.
So congratulations to the NHS.
Well. That wasn't-
Meanwhile, we would go bankrupt.
Yeah, right. Like without insurance in the U.S., that would cost you your entire life. You're like, your knee works now, but we're going to take everything you have.
So yeah.
Congrats.
whilst the 3 of us were binging She-Ra, you're in the locker room telling us about what now? What sporting activities have you been participating in this week?
Well, hello, this is Chad Chaddison, the news anchor the sports anchor of this Pods and Ends podcast. Today, we are having a quick rundown of all the sporting events that has happened this week.
Why is he
Coming in at the headline is
Dying.
Philip and Tom and Janice and Jenny played national fours against his old club, the Dolphin, and they beat them 14-13. Congratulations to those 4. Good luck in your next game.
Wait a minute. For American listeners, what is bowls?
Flat green bowls. So you have a lump of plastic that is slightly weighted to one side rather than the other, and you chuck it down a 30-metre green or carpet. It can be grass, and it's the closest one to a thing called the jack, which is a little ball, and then you pick up points.
Hang on, it's quite it's quite big in America, isn't it?
There's a few in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. It's
That
not.
sounds like
big
an
in
old people
America.
thing.
Yeah,
It is an
does sound like
old people
game.
thing. There's a slight
Wow.
Look, when I
You're
go
welcome,
and
Phil.
watch, some of the ladies are there knitting at the sides. I'm just saying, like the wags of the bowls world, they knit or they crochet.
Okay.
That's what they do
You
at
can
the
paint a
side.
picture however you wish, but you know. In bigger news, Tottenham played Chelsea tonight. 3-1 victory, now up to third in the Premier League. Tiger Woods beat Phil Mickelson at Vegas in the 1-1 for $7 million. And England are currently beating Sri Lanka by 99 runs in the cricket. And that is all for the sports news this week.
That game will probably still be going on for the next episode, yeah, because cricket games take like months.
They're in day 3 already, actually.
I don't know.
They've only got 2 more days left.
Don't worry, so it would nearly be a week. I didn't know they played golf in Las Vegas as well.
They probably played it on one of the
In
hotel
the
rooftops or
sands.
something, didn't
Yeah,
they?
True.
Yeah, I was gonna say they play golf everywhere here. Like desert doesn't matter. We'll add water. We'll make a golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
will build
We'll
it.
just take it from California and we'll just
Yeah.
rinse it all over a golf course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yep. You know, we actually, after watching Fantastic Beasts, decided to watch Sorcerer's Stone.
Sorry?
Again.
What? Do you mean the Philosopher's
Philosopher's Stone.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Leviosa.
And we were talking about how funny it is that even in the wizarding world, sports are such a big thing with Quidditch.
I love that she did that with Quidditch. It became like an obsession, and I became obsessed with the Quidditch matches.
Especially in the
it.
first 2, 3, 4 3 books.
Yeah.
It was like
Right,
the
yeah,
thing.
it kind of goes away toward the end when things got more serious, but it's a big part of the school, and it just makes sense because there's so many, like, I guess for you guys, you probably have soccer like that here, but
Soccer.
I mean, it's football, American football is the high schools are huge with football, colleges obviously, so it played really well as a way to, like, I don't know, give Americans something to attach to. Oh, okay, I see.
Oh, sports.
Yeah.
Sports ball.
Sports ball. We can
Yes.
make a sport.
I get that. Well, I was also thinking back to this really old PlayStation 2 game, and it was just Quidditch World Cup. And it was one of the most fun games I've ever played. And I think now to all like the sports games that people play on different gaming consoles and such. And
Yeah, I'd say sports games. I don't know this, but it has to be a fairly large chunk of the gaming because they're for everyone. You know what I mean? Like people that don't really like video games still like sports games, and then people that really like video games can also like sports games. So it kind of crosses genres or whatever
This
demographics.
year, they had the FIFA World Championships in London, and it was televised on UK TV for 3 days straight.
What for
Wow.
the FIFA? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, for the FIFA games.
Yeah.
It was awful. I don't know why I watched it for so much. I did, but I did watch it. So people were betting on it and all sorts. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
there were
how
watch
much people are
parties
into it.
around here even.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the World Cup stuff, yeah. That's the only time that Americans, well, majority of Americans, some Americans really like soccer,
Yeah.
but that's the only time it becomes like
A big thing.
a normal, like,
Because we can make a party out of it.
yeah,
That's why.
exactly. Do you tailgate for it? We'll go.
You're going to see, like, we're going to come to England and we're going to be tailgating Phil's Bowls games.
Oh, we should.
Shotgunning a beer in the parking lot.
Oh yeah.
Fried chicken.
Chicken boy.
You can't really. There's not much like food options. There's a vending machine, isn't there? And you can get peanuts behind the bar, and that's about it.
They do
for-
bacon rolls. They do
Oh,
pasties.
that one they do. Yeah, I was thinking of your other
Oh,
It'll
one.
be
here
the
we
summer,
go.
wouldn't it?
Oh yes,
I'll
it'll
be out in
be
the
summer
sunshine.
bowls. Yes, that's true. That is a slightly more rowdy
Me and
affair.
Sid
All right.
and
We're
Barry.
tailgating Bowls, American style. It's happening.
Yeah. I'm going to play this game too. I'm going to dominate.
Oh, yeah. I like how they just laugh. Oh, Brian. So with that, I think we should transition to our main event for Pods and Ends, episode 1, the silver screen with Crimes of Grindelwald.
Vald.
I was going to say, how first, yeah, can
Is
we
it
establish
Wald?
this? Is it Vold or Wald?
It's Wald because
the
he's
German?
Eastern European. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's from Austria. So
Grindelwald. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, fair
Good.
enough.
Good. We've established that. So it came out
hmm
earlier this week? No, last Friday it was
I
released.
think it was
wasn't it?
yeah.
We've been not as quick to go and see it, but
Because it's not Star Wars.
because it's not Star Wars. No, this is true.
I
But
don't wait in line for anything but Star Wars.
But yeah, we've all been to see Crimes of Grindelwald. I suppose just before we go wham bam into the film, shall we mention what we all thought of Fantastic Beasts before we go?
Yes, and we're
Into
definitely going to do spoilers. Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
so
Yeah, I come
spoilers
with a spoiler
aplenty.
warning, remember, guys? Spoil everything.
Okay, I'll start.
Yes.
I thought it was an abomination of a film. This is Fantastic Beasts. And
can
it
you-
basically ruined my childhood.
Can you not hold back? Can you say what you really think, Phil?
I watched it at the cinema and didn't like it, and then we tried to watch it again on DVD, and I also couldn't stand it.
So,
And
Phil, are you saying that you would throw it in the bin?
I would. I'm going to whiz to Grindelwald now. I would watch that again. I would never watch Fantastic Beasts again.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and can you maybe just without like filibustering, what was it you didn't like about Fantastic Beasts then? What was it that just really rubbed you up the wrong way?
I liked 7 Harry Potter films, and I thought, oh, this is going to be another Harry Potter film. This is going to be good. And then it was just full of filler. It was,
Okay.
I thought it was going to be about Fantastic Beasts and stuff, and then they went into his suitcase, and it was just like, oh, here we go.
Okay.
This is annoying.
So, do you think that was just like you were thinking it was going to be a lot of beasts and it didn't meet your expectations, so it kind of ruined it?
Yeah, I thought he'd be hunting for beasts and he'd be adventuring, and instead what he was doing was looking after some bloke that turned himself into black ink. Who was like...
It was explain a film in was it explain a plot in 5 words or something. Looking for a guy who turned into black ink.
Yeah. There's a bit, this and that, oh wow. Just kiss the girl at the end, for goodness sake.
Oh yeah, that did frustrate me. Him and Tina should have definitely had a smooch at the end.
Okay, what did you 3 think?
Well,
Because we're not actually talking about Fantastic Beasts, we're talking
no.
about
So
Grindelwald.
very briefly, I enjoyed Fantastic Beasts. I didn't love it the same way that I love the Harry Potter films, but I think I knew what I was going into, in that I knew it wasn't going to be another Harry Potter film. I think I was slightly disappointed, probably like you, Phil, actually. I had an image of escaped creatures running rampage all over America, him running around trying to get them, jumping in and out of the suitcase, and it had much more of a overarching, bigger picture, shall we say, already from that very first film, which I wasn't expecting. And so that was my only sort of reservation with the film. But generally, I thought it was really good fun. I was worried going into Crimes of Grindelwald that Newt would be a sidelined character, because I liked Newt a lot, and I kind of wanted him to shine in this series as like on his own kind of thing. What about you then, Shelby? What did you think of Fantastic Beasts?
Well, we did a rewatch before we went to see the new movie, and I was just so delighted. I love that movie. I really do. And I think maybe it is because it's set in New York and the 1920s era. I think a lot of Americans are very fascinated by that era.
True.
I love Great Gatsby and what they did with that movie, and then I also love Harry Potter, so when you mush them together, you get Fantastic Beasts. And
The
so
Great Podsky.
the Great Podsky? What?
Like Potter and
Oh,
Gatsby, the
I'll
Great
get you.
Potsky.
Okay, Great Potsky. Yeah, I like that. But Newt is just like, he's so tender and sweet, and I love how he interacts with the beasts.
Yes.
So I think that's probably why I liked it so much. I think his connection to the beasts, even though I was hoping for something, like you were saying, him going and looking for them and trying to capture them, which I guess he did. It just, you get the urban jungle instead of the actual jungle.
Yeah.
I really liked that movie. And now, Grindelwald, I absolutely loved it, and we'll talk about that more in a second. What about you, Brian? Your thoughts of Fantastic Beasts?
Yeah, I actually maybe liked it the most of everyone because I thought it was terrific. I think, again, we get into that expectation problem. I had almost no expectations. I don't even know if I'd seen the trailer before I went to see it because I was just kind of like, oh, okay, this exists. I'll watch it. It's Harry Potter, whatever. So I didn't have anything predetermined in my head, so I just sat down blankly to watch it. And I almost think that's how people should watch everything anymore.
Yeah.
Like we're almost spoiling ourselves with our own imagination rather than just enjoying something that someone else is giving to us. But anyway, that's a whole nother can of worms. I thought it was really good. I thought it was, creatures, me and creatures, love them in any IP. They're a big draw for me. I thought it included a lot of them, not a lot of depth, but there were a lot of different creatures going on in that movie. And the story was pretty cool. I liked Jacob's character a lot. Like the muggle caught in the middle. It was terrific.
Yeah, I liked that too.
No Madge.
That's it.
Nomad. Yeah, I
Dumb
don't
name.
care. I don't care for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I understand they wanted to try to do something different, but I think they
It just
kind of
makes
ran out
Americans
of
look dumb.
ideas.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that we would have different words for different
Yeah.
things, but it was because actually I wanted to ask you guys that as Americans kind of going into this franchise, did you enjoy the fact that there's an American house and that there was an American school with American houses, or is that what you'd liked Potter for in the first place? Was its like quirky Britishness, or was it when you heard that there was going to be like it's going to be in America, was that like woo?
I was a little reserved at first because, we were talking about this last night as we were talking about Harry Potter in general. Now Americans associate anything British with Harry Potter, period.
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
Someone's like, ooh, that double-decker bus, it's so Harry Potter.
Yeah,
But
like Harry Potter is like a stand-in for Britain in some cases.
it's true. And I think that was part of the draw initially of Harry Potter because it was multiple other worlds.
Right, yeah. It's grounded in reality, but it's not our American reality. It's like this, ooh, British, ooh, fancy.
Fancy, different. Yeah, Americans love the idea of the UK and its connection with Harry Potter. And so at first I was like, I don't know, being in America's lame and not cool.
Wow.
Well, in the sense of like being interesting as a setting. And then when they put it in the 20s, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's when America was cool.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. We were much more interesting, at least then.
Because can you imagine like wizards now in America? It'd be so lame. in
Avada
my
Kedavra
opinion.
before they ask any questions.
Basically.
I don't know. I think
One
a lot
first,
of people
ask
do that.
questions later.
Yeah, that's it.
We need wand regulation.
Yes.
Hey, they already have that. That's what she was
I
doing
know.
in the first movie.
I know, which is also
Your wand permit.
how American. That is
Yeah.
very an American thing.
Yeah.
To have permits and lots of paperwork.
I like that it's way more tense. The American the whole American wizard community, they've had the fallout from like the Salem witch trials, and I like that there's things like wizards and muggles are allowed to marry in the UK, but it's still like a big no-no in America. It was cool to see how the different wizarding communities have like developed, and sometimes they're way ahead of each other and sometimes they're still playing catch up, which I thought that was a cool touch actually, in being able to see the kind of the community as a whole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting that the whole thing's not homogenized. They're not like, we are all wizards, we stick together.
Yeah.
They're still, they still have their own separate,
Yes.
identities and things like that. It is pretty interesting.
And I did like how they were talking about the creatures being in America, especially when, what was it? I forget what the bird's name is, what
was
they
it
call
the
it. but-
Thunderbird, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, I think it's
Thunderbird.
just Thunderbird, yeah.
Oh, okay. But having a Thunderbird that is from Arizona was
Yes.
so cool.
I love that.
Yeah, that definitely looks like where that thing should live.
Yes.
And it makes me think like, seeing that Thunderbird, it's about the American bald eagle, and you think about how the Thunderbird has similarities to that, and how you're like, I wonder, what would be the symbol, like the the national bird for the American wizards. Probably something like a thunderbird.
Oh, yeah.
And what would American dragons be like? Because they've got a lot more space than the Welsh green. That's not got much room to spread out. Where the American dragons must be huge. They've got a lot of space to grow.
They probably would also be in the desert.
Yeah, we don't really have, like, I don't think there's any
There
Native
used to be,
American dragon, because a lot of other cultures have their own version of dragons. I don't really think we do.
It's the national animal of Wales.
Right.
Do you know what the national animal of Scotland is?
Oh.
Any
Haggis?
ideas? A unicorn.
Are you for real?
I am being truthfully honest. This is a unicorn.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
I did know that, actually.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd...
A half-life. A cursed life.
Yeah. I actually completely forgot unicorns were in Harry Potter until we watched
I
it.
feel like we need some in Fantastic Beasts.
So, Grindelwald.
I thought that the last 15 minutes was excellent.
Okay.
I thought the first hour and 3/4 could be smushed into about an hour. I thought it dragged a little bit, but the last 15 minutes got me going. When Nicholas Flamel turned up and started ordering some people about to stick their wands in the ground,
Yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah.
I was like, this man is coming, he means business. And I thought, yeah, Dumbledore's knocking about and Grindelwald's knocking about. Nicholas Flamel is not messing about here. He has come in to sort this dude out.
What an unlikely hero as well,
Well, they say in the first
True.
Harry Potter that
He's a great alchemist, wasn't
he's a
he?
great, he's a good friend of
Yeah.
mine.
That's actually something I really appreciate about, which I probably should have said in our little Fantastic Beasts rundown, but with this particular part of the franchise, I love seeing adult wizards just do their thing, like
Yes, I was thinking that too.
yeah, I mean, Harry Potter was great, and it was, them learning all these new spells, but it's just, you watch Newt and all the spells that he kind of whips out and does, just without even really thinking about them. These are all, like, accomplished wizards, and I love just seeing them do magic that's just completely second nature to them, and that they fight really well as well. I think that was...
You only really get that in when Voldemort fights Dumbledore.
Yeah, like in the Order of the Phoenix, isn't
Yeah.
it? When the sort of old Order of the Phoenix turn up and fight the Death Eaters. And I remember reading that and being like, yes, this is like Sirius against Bellatrix. And yeah, that's something I'm really appreciating actually about this, is just seeing adult wizards really flex their magical muscles.
So what I'd say is that I wasn't excited about seeing this film after watching Fantastic Beasts, but I am looking forward to the next one. That's my synopsis of how I enjoyed this film. I'm intrigued to know what happens.
Yeah.
After Fantastic Beasts, I wanted to chuck myself in the sea.
So Shelby, you've already said you loved it then. Why don't you expand on that then? What was it that you really loved about the film?
One of my favorite things was the lion creature.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm so glad we're going
like
to
the
talk about
Chinese
that.
dragon?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a Chinese dragon, and I like the idea because it leads you to think, oh, someone in our Muggle world saw one of these, and then that's what inspired some of these Chinese dragon things.
Yeah.
So I like that concept. I enjoyed how much they made it like a big cat.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was hilarious because that's how, lions are definitely just big cats a lot of the time. So I enjoyed that. I mean, there were so many new creatures like the spirit familiar cats as well.
Yes.
Those were
those
very
things were
cool.
Yeah.
super
Especially
cool.
when you attack them and it like multiplied them.
Yeah, it took that whole crazy cat lady to like a real serious
I
Right?
loved
Yeah.
it.
That's what they're all doing. Like
Yeah.
they've all got a legion of crazy little shadow cats. We
Yeah.
just don't know it.
I liked that even though it didn't say anything about Fantastic Beasts, there were a lot of beasts in it.
Well,
Baby
that's
nifflers
the
are
tag
adorable.
is like Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of
Okay.
Grindelwald, isn't it? But I mean, yeah, no one's actually calling
Baby nifflers. That's all I gotta say.
it that.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Adorable. And the fact that they have their own little cage full of trinkets.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. They're basically in their own little.
And his assistant was so
treasure.
cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know if she was being built up for something there. I don't know if she's going to feature again. She sort of seemed to come and go really, really quickly. And I was like, oh, was there why did we see that? Or was it just to show that she was into Newt and that he just was a bit
I
think I don't know.
Yeah, I think
He's
it's
oblivious.
It's just to show that, there are people pining for Newt. Newt's not alone because he's this quirky weirdo that no one likes.
Yeah.
Like he's holding a candle for Lestrange and also for Tina, while this other lady is holding a candle for him. I don't know. It's a weird.
Although I thought it was more to show that there's other people in the world who care about beasts just like he does.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah.
To show that he's not the only anomaly, the only wizard out there who cares for these creatures. But I appreciated that, and I liked the story that they told in France.
Yeah.
I thought that it had a better story than Fantastic Beasts.
I agree.
Yeah, obviously.
And the performances were so well done. I mean,
Oh man, Jude Law as Dumbledore is just, he's slaying me.
Yeah.
He used his voice to put some Dumbledore-esque accent sort of way he says words as well that I noticed, which was very clever.
He sort of, again, he wasn't doing
Harry Potter.
Yeah, he wasn't doing a Michael Gambon impression or a Richard Harris impression, it was nothing like that. He definitely had his own thing going on, but I did find myself kind of like really intently watching him and his performance and being like, yeah, that is Dumbledore. I hope he gets Half Moon's glasses in the next film. That's all I'm saying.
yes.
I think it needs to happen.
I think he just played it so well.
Grow that beard out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played it so well that he had an air of confidence and arrogance that Dumbledore would have had,
Yeah, totally.
which was good.
I think he.
That's a good point.
I had high expectations, and that's when you say about going into something, Brian, with like no expectations. He was probably the only thing that I did have quite high expectations of, because I do quite like him as an actor anyway. So I was like, I think he's a good. When they said they cast him, I was like, yeah, that's a good choice. I can see that. The one that I'd be interested what you guys all thought that I was pleasantly surprised at was Johnny Depp. I didn't know what to expect of him at all, and I wasn't sat there going, whoa, this is an incredible Grindelwald performance, but I definitely thought it was different, because he can be accused of just playing Jack Sparrow these days, can't he? And I thought there was a definite, like, I don't want to make it sounds obvious, but there was a meanness to him that you were like, this is a dangerous wizard, this is a powerful, dangerous wizard, and I could see kids being a bit afraid of him,
We said that he has a very like Hitler-esque vibe to him, where he is charismatic, but in a way that you're scared not to be sort of enthralled by him. You're thinking to yourself, I see what he's saying, but at the same time, I feel like if I don't see what he's saying, I could be in trouble. If that makes any sense. But yeah, I thought the whole, especially toward the end, where you have the eagles or ravens, I guess they were, over the grave site, it just read very Nazi to me.
Even his like female assistant that had the pants. I mean, it was, and it's also interesting the way that they had him stoke fear in the wizards of saying like, this is what the muggles are going to do to you. This is what they're going to do to the world, and showing the future, another war.
Yeah, he kind of...
I thought that was an amazing part of the story, and the way he sold it, and the way he seemed like he was genuinely caring about the wizarding world, but I mean, he's not really.
Yeah. Also, I loved his skull hookah of the future.
Yes.
Like, what is that thing? And how does anyone look at it and be like, come on now, that thing telling the real future? Come on now. You playing with me.
I quite liked that he actually, apart from that opening scene, which I really love the opening scene, he actually didn't do that terrific. Much. His whole thing, like you're saying, it's this kind of, that magnetism about him, that the dangerous thing about Grindelwald is to let him speak, almost, rather than, we didn't actually really see him do anything with his wand, so to speak. It was all other stuff going on until right at the very end. But yeah, the real danger of him is...
So just imagine when he gets his wand.
Yeah, exactly.
The elder one which he is carrying.
I know.
My 2 cents are that Johnny Depp has had a lot of bad publicity due to various things.
Yeah.
So that gives you an instant, oh, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
And once you take that away and you just see his performance, it was an excellent performance. I found it enthralling. And it did make me question who's the worst baddie.
What, out of him or Voldemort?
Yeah.
You can't help but think about Voldemort, can you, and compare the two?
And I was a lot more scared of Grindelwald than I was Voldemort. Because, like we discussed already, he had the followers that were doing things for him. They went into that room with a little baby in, because they in Paris. Didn't care, did they?
That was
just
dark.
Zap, done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember thinking that was really dark.
Well, and
I think he's a better baddie in the sense of his followers. They're not really afraid of him. They want to follow him.
Yeah.
right, yeah, that's a good point. Like he gets them on his side, where everyone is a Death Eater because they have to be.
Yeah.
Like it's you follow me or you die. Where
Grindelwald is fear and love.
he's got a
it's
cause.
Voldemort's just fear.
it's a weird manipulation.
Yeah.
But also, like, Grindelwald seems like he wants to take over the entire world, where Voldemort just wanted to kind of like take over the wizarding world, maybe, and then maybe reign over England, and then call it a day.
He might,
It felt smaller.
yeah.
Yeah, he feels more of a villain to our protagonist, where Grindelwald feels like a villain to the entire planet, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, because Voldemort had that connection with Harry, wasn't it? And it was that real classic.
Well, yeah, and
those two.
it was almost all about revenge, really.
Yeah.
And then maybe if I get my revenge, I guess I'll take
Yeah.
over the Wizarding
Everything
World again.
else.
We'll see.
MVD.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we'll see what happens.
Grindelwald just wants power.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's got something to offer where, like you say, what did Voldemort really have to offer other than, well, the alternative is join me or die, basically. So he ended up with some kind of not weak followers, but he, because Wormtail ended up being quite dangerous.
Reluctant.
But yeah, you had people like Snape who joined, and then sort of, people flip-flop and like, well, actually, is this a cause I want to be? Where I could almost see, in a way, once you join Grindelwald, like, you're in it for good. And we kind of know how powerful his message is, since Dumbledore helped start that message in the first place. So there is some scrap of sense in that. There must have been for Dumbledore and him to be like, oh yeah, for the greater good. He just then goes too far for then Dumbledore to go, actually, this is wrong, and pull back.
So does that mean you think Queenie is gone forever?
She might be the exception.
Queen-demption.
Queen-demption, right. She was the only one that I struggled to find her motive for joining him, because he does seem, I know he says he's he's not anti-Muggle, but I was like, well, he basically is anti-Muggle. Like, I don't know what did you guys see as Queenie's motive for going to him? That was my only puzzlement.
Yeah, I agree. Because at first, her whole idea is like, hey, Jacob, we can be together if we join him. And then Jacob is like, girl, you crazy.
I'm good.
And then,
Literally.
I don't know if that was like, well, forget you.
Yeah.
I'll find another Muggle.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. Yeah, that seemed kind of like I saw where she was going, but then when he pulled back, why did she keep going? Like, had she, I don't know, been turned by his magnetism, as we're saying, too far to care about Jacob anymore? But I don't know. That didn't seem, that was a bit quick and not developed. If I have a qualm about it, it's that, and then the end I'm still struggling with. But
I think it's because we didn't see how much it was probably wearing on her to be in a relationship with Jacob and not be able to be out about it.
yeah.
And so at this point, she just completely goes straight radical, because she thinks, oh, well, maybe I have to leave Jacob right now, but I can make the world better for him and I, and then maybe we can get back together.
well, and two, she did like charm him at the beginning.
That was really
So
uncomfortable, actually.
It's kind of, I guess, in her character to do whatever she has to get what she wants. So if she thinks that leaving and joining Grindelwald will eventually lead her back to being able to have Jacob, I guess just charm him again.
Well, she doesn't trust him enough to make decisions with him. I mean, that's pretty telling.
Well, and I mean, I think the problem is that they both want the same thing, but Jacob understands that they can't have it and it's not practical and she's just like, no, I want my cake and I want to eat it too, which I guess kind of leads you right to Grindelwald, honestly. So I've talked myself right out of that.
How about that?
Makes perfect sense now. Thanks, guys.
When she goes over, she is looking back at him, but have they just added that point in because she is a strong character who has a good power, basically, that she can read minds, etc., and she can judge stuff, and they're a good ally together? Because you can't have all the good people on one side and just Grindelwald on the other, because he will just come.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's made me
cropper.
really intrigued for the next film. It's definitely going to shake things up, I think, for the next. Because, like you say, we've kind of, I suppose, really cynically, we've seen it already, haven't we? Of Newt and Tina and Queenie and Jacob all teaming up. So, in a way, to kind of fracture that dynamic will be intriguing for the next film. But I'd be curious to know a bit more of her motives.
Lita Lestrange turns around and says, "I love you." Who was she talking to?
Oh,
Newt.
Newt.
100% Newt.
That line, "You've never met a monster that you couldn't love." I mean, God, that
was pretty
that
good.
was really quite something. I was,
Rip your heart
yeah,
out.
and what does that? It's just what that tells you about Newt and his sort of just capacity for love is just. I just really, really like.
He chose a side, though.
guys.
Me
He
too.
did choose a side.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And it was quite like they are siblings that don't get on, but do get on and
Yeah,
don't
I
get
liked
on, and
that,
in the
yeah.
end they were stood next to each other,
yeah.
battling.
I did enjoy. What was his brother's name again? Begins with T.
Theus.
Not
Theseus.
Was it Theseus?
Yeah.
Theseus, yeah, there you go.
you go.
He's a hugger.
Yeah,
He's
yes. Yeah. Well, so what did you guys think of the whole Lestrange situation?
It was strange.
It was very Lestrange.
What you did there?
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting way to give her a tortured past kind of just on accident. She didn't mean to kill her brother. She just wanted him to shut up for a minute. And I think a lot of people have been there. Unfortunately, a lot of people have been there, and then they shake their baby, and then they're a murderer. Oh, sorry. But, it's kind of the way it worked here, except instead of it being an aggressive act, she just kind of swapped babies for a hot second, thinking, I'll take you back later, and then the ship went down. So.
I don't understand the swapping babies. Like, both babies are going to cry. Like, that's weird.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but
to
the
me.
whole story was that her brother hadn't stopped crying the entire time, and then there's a baby down the way that's not currently crying, so I'm going to switch for a little bit right now. I don't know.
Also,
She was a little kid. Little kids have the
Okay,
dumb ideas.
fair enough.
we also need to know, why was Dumbledore's younger brother going to America on that ship?
Yes. See, that's the this part I struggle with. Like, I've tried to wrap my mind around it, and then I finally come to the conclusion, well, Grindelwald's just lying to the dude. He's not Dumbledore.
I don't.
He's just some
But
dude.
there's the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, Grindelwald's a magician. That's probably a sparrow. And he just made it look like
Yeah,
a
I mean,
phoenix.
it didn't make sense, did it, that it went from a little baby to a fully adult phoenix at the end. But I mean, I was going for that's going to be Fawkes, was where my brain went. As soon as I saw the little chick, and I was like, oh, that's baby phoenix, that's going to be Fawkes. But I didn't think...
Grindelwald and Dumbledore know each other very well, and
Yes.
we can discuss in a
Exactly.
minute how well. But Dumbledore would have shared all of the past of, oh yeah, well, Phoenix comes to Dumbledore's and it's in the past. So he would have known that. So he could have then spun that.
Do you guys think, in a way, that
Too
Grindelwald, I know, having now just said we were going to, park that
He's
conversation.
doing all of this to get...
Dumbledore back.
Yeah,
attention.
do you reckon?
back.
Do you reckon Grindelwald was the last person that Dumbledore ever fully trusted?
Yeah.
You don't think he trusted Harry Potter?
No, he held so much
No.
back from Harry. Only found out Dumbledore had family in book 7, and it wasn't even from Dumbledore. Dumbledore literally took that to the grave with him. We are going to.
What about Snape? You don't think that
He did, yeah.
I don't.
Dumbledore trusted
He trusted
Snape? I think
He trusted
did.
Snape with Harry's life, maybe, but not with his own secrets. I don't think. Do you reckon the next film's
He
going to be
did
called
trust
The
him with
Life?
his own life because Snape killed him because he told him to. He trusted him with it and he killed him.
Exactly. What does that tell you? He trusted him to end it, maybe.
So are we saying that Dumbledore and Grindelwald have been in a relationship because when he looked into the mirror,
Yeah.
the thing he desired the most was Grindelwald?
Well, the two of them. It was interesting that he went to a place where they
were
were both
having
younger.
like a prom. They could have done it where they were having like a prom photograph together.
It was, which as a side note, I love that they kept the original Grindelwald actor as well. That was a cool little touch. That young Grindelwald was the same from Hallows. But yeah, I definitely think they are going to show us their relationship because, well, I mean, I don't know if anyone doesn't know, but J.K. Rowling has come out and said that Dumbledore is gay and that he's been portrayed that way in her head the entire time. And so, and she has said, she wrote it in a way where you could, children could read it either way they wanted. But she has made it very clear that Dumbledore is gay and that Grindelwald was his partner. And I hope we are going to see that on screen because they've clearly got, their relationship will change the face of the wizarding world. And I think it's important that we see all aspects of it and their feelings for one another because they've clearly, hurt each other a lot. I mean, to have to make a pact together, oh, we're not going to fight. Like, what even went down when they were making that pact? Like, how did they know at that point? Did they know they were going to be pitted against each other at some point? That their characters were just so forceful that they just knew one day they'd have to make a pact to stop them doing that? I don't even know. But, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think young people in love do that where they're like, oh, let's promise never to fight.
True. I like it.
Let's never squabble over little things.
But
I mean, they made it a much bigger deal than that. But it may have just been like, not necessarily we can't fight now. There might be more to that blood pact, just we're bonding ourselves in a way,
Is that essentially wizard marriage?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just thinking that the not being able to fight each other might be a side effect of what they were trying to accomplish with their blood pact rather than them doing it specifically so they couldn't fight each other.
Maybe it's a pact that neither of them was going to try and overthrow the other in their cause. That they were both going to be equals in leading this revolution. There's a potential for that. Or, they could just be two young, arrogant dudes thinking they're the most powerful wizards in the world and saying, oh man, it would be totally unfair to the world if we ever fought each other. Let's make this pact because we're so cool.
Bro.
But, to be honest, that's a really good point, Shell, because I think that's kind of how Dumbledore himself describes them, doesn't he? When I can't even remember how that confrontation comes down, when he eventually kind of reveals what him and Grindelwald were doing. And he definitely describes them as, we thought we were so powerful that we could control the Deathly Hallows. Like, who did we think we were? And so, yeah, that's a really good point. I think they definitely thought they were hot stuff in the wizarding world.
Power couple.
Yeah.
Power couple.
So we're going on to the next film. What do you think is going to happen? Brian?
Man, I don't know. Do you think we're going to get the Dumbledore Grindelwald Aberforth duel?
Yes.
Oh.
But isn't that where...
No, that's already happened.
Yeah, because that's where his sister gets inadvertently killed.
So in that case, it's just Dumbledore versus Grindelwald then.
Yeah.
That's how the last point's going down.
My thing is...
In 1945.
Yeah.
This film is all about Newt Scamander.
Well, right. How is it going to come back to Newt?
How's it coming back to Newt?
I don't know. I mean...
Does he whack out some of his beasts and save the day?
But we know that they were like, he took him down. We know Dumbledore is the one who took Grindelwald down. I mean, I've heard that Tom Riddle's going to come in. That it's going to finish with Tom Riddle entering Hogwarts. But I don't know. I cannot remember where I heard that from. It's probably on the internet, so it's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
But that is somewhere.
Twitter.
Yeah. And that was the 50s, wasn't it? So I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to... Or maybe it'll be the very last scene where it's like, welcome to Hogwarts, Tom Riddle. And we're like, oh no.
Slytherin!
Yeah, Tom Riddle gets sorted into Slytherin.
Yeah.
With a big
They just
grin.
kind of like sort of wave the hat near him. And it's like, Slytherin!
Yeah.
Slytherin!
And then Dumbledore's like, I think that kid's going to turn out just fine. I'm just going to relax now. I don't know why he's gone American for some reason. Just gotta relax.
He's Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Let me get my bejeweled robes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Let me slide out of this 3-piece. Oh, bam. This is much better.
I'm so much more comfy now that Grindelwald is gone. Get my little slippy slidies on.
have a nice piece.
Oh, jeez.
Thing is, I think we've hit it on the head of my only concern with this sort of. I don't know if it's a trilogy or if there's going to be more, but this saga moving forward is, where is Newt's place in all of this? Is it still this huge? Is Newt going to be the one to, for want of a better word, take out Credence? Is that where we've got Dumbledore versus Grindelwald?
I think Credence is taking out Credence in.
Well, no, I think you're right. I think maybe Newt is going to be the one who like solves separating the obscurial from the person, like he was trying to do with the girl in, what was it, Africa?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
or
I think-
Egypt or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Egypt is Africa. But anyway,
Specifically.
I think that might be Newt's triumph, right? Like Newt finds a way to separate these, like, man from beast, so to speak. So that's what keeps him in it. But I have a feeling, like you say, we are going to transition more into that. Hey, Dumbledore versus Grindelwald, guys.
Yeah.
This is it.
Well,
Duel of the
it's kind
century.
of like, oh, hey, look at all these rebels, but remember there are Jedi!
Yeah, true.
Kind of the same thing.
That's a really good point.
That's the thing. I am kind of down for it as well. Just like I said, it will be so different to Harry versus Voldemort, won't it? And we've kind of known of the legend of Dumbledore, and we see bits of it in the Harry Potter series. But there is a real, like, kind of fangirl part of me that really wants to just see this epic showdown with these two wizards just doing, like you say, boom, Jedi stuff. I am kind of really up for seeing that. And it will be interesting then to kind of, I suppose, juxtapose that with, like, Newt going on more of a, you know, Newt's mission could then be something much more peaceful that actually ends up in without bloodshed, which is way more what Newt is about anyway, where Dumbledore is always going to end in pain and suffering because
I can't wait to see his book.
yes I really hope
First
we see that.
copy.
Yeah, I really hope we do see that at some point. That would be really cool.
Oh, you know what would be terrible is if, like, the first book, like, something happens to his Niffler and he uses part of it as the book.
I'm not okay with anything happening to that Niffler. Like, when it had a little bit of a limp
No.
at the end, I was
Oh
just
my
like,
God,
Oh, I wanted to cry.
if it dies, I'm just...
This is a good question I wanted to ask you. What is your favorite beast out of these two movies?
Niffler.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard not to say
That's
Niffler,
so
isn't
cute.
it?
And I want one.
See, I like Pick.
Oh,
The little
Bowtruckle.
lockpick. Yeah, there you go.
Bowtruckles are my favorite.
Bowtruckle. And like you, I liked the Chinese dragon as well. I thought he was really, really cool. Really loved that.
Yeah.
What about you, Phil?
Forks.
Oh. Well, we don't know that was Forks. That's
Fine, the Phoenix. I just love
Right.
Phoenixes.
Phoenixes are cool.
Yeah. I know it's like, oh, there's millions of new ones, but... Oh, actually, I did like the cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were cool.
What I liked about that scene as well was initially they were doing a classic film thing where they were just going to run off and lose them, and then they had to pull out some proper hardcore magic to get rid of them. And,
Yeah, I like Newt went there. He's like, do you know what? I'm going to get out my big dragon
Yeah.
to get out of this. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Boom, here we go. But, I mean, I suppose, we've touched on Credence and monsters and things. So what do we think of Nagini?
oh my
What
goodness,
was
I'm
the
actually
name
in love with her.
What was the name of her? Like,
She is
purse?
so beautiful.
She was beautiful, you are quite right.
She's from South Korea.
Her dress was awesome.
She was in, what did you say? Black Panther, wasn't she?
No, she was in Age of Ultron. She was
Age
the,
of Ultron, that was it.
she was the scientist.
The base was
Yeah.
in
Oh!
Dr. Cho,
Oh,
wasn't
nice,
it?
yeah.
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 Oh, she was amazing, and she just...
Maledictus, that's the
Yeah.
word I was trying to think of. So what do you guys think of, like, the concept first? Maledictus, like this curse that forces people...
I like that very much.
Hmm.
Why it needed to be Nagini,
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I kind of like
I think
it.
I'm going to put it out. I think Harry Potter as a series of films, and these films are going to be linked well enough that it's not going to be overlinked.
Yeah.
That I think it's going to make sense at the end of the next film why she turns into Nagini and goes with Voldemort. Because something's going to happen.
So I like the thought with Nagini. I mean, obviously, it's really heartbreaking now that you just go, hang on a minute, she was a human, and then the thought of a human being trapped in the body of an animal, and I can picture her kind of fleeing, and she's trapped as this snake. Can you then imagine what that must... There's going to be a good few years, I mean, a couple of decades is going to go by before she meets Tom Riddle. And then she meets this young man who can talk to her. That you can completely see why that pairing happened. Because that is so vital, isn't it? That she'd have almost been losing any part of her humanity. And then he comes along and speaks to her. And it just completely makes their whole relationship then make sense. And, they're going to have some sort of like strong bond there because he's going to trust her with a part of his soul. So I'm really intrigued to I hope her character is big in the next film, and it'll be interesting what interactions now she's going to have with Grindelwald, especially as Credence.
Especially in relation.
Yes, since he's gone as well, and that was like they were two broken creatures looking after each other, and now he's gone.
I'm going to put a different twist on it.
Yeah.
She seemed to be able to control Credence. Kind of. Creech, that's what I said.
Creech. That fits better than Credence. He's definitely a Creech.
Creech, yeah.
Okay.
And she was caring for him,
yeah.
Even though she had her own issues. When she met Tom Riddle, was she trying to do the same for him, and he ended up manipulating her into being a killing machine?
Yeah.
She thought she could help him, and in the end, she couldn't, and she had to go the other way.
Yeah. And did he say to her, I reckon, I'm a really powerful wizard. I could probably reverse that spell on you somehow, because I can do amazing stuff. Like, I died once, and that didn't stop me.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you two think of Nagini then?
Initially, I was just like, what's the point? But you have 100% turned me around on it. I like the whole idea of her. I think she's probably already, if she's in the next movie, which I hope she is, it would be kind of like meh, to just interject her.
Yeah. That would be, it would end up being gratuitous then, wouldn't it? If you're going to include her, go for it now and run with her.
Yeah, like she's still going to be with those people, I would assume, in some capacity.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Or maybe Credence sneaks her out. And then, who knows? Or Creech, I'm sorry.
And also, on the whole, like, maledictus, do we think Mrs. Norris is a maledictus? Discuss. Right? Maybe that was like his wife or something.
Oh my gosh, how dare you so...
Oh, you've killed me.
Maybe that was his wife and that's why he loves his cat so much.
Oh my god, don't even... Why are you doing this to me?
What Reddit thread have you been on?
Because I want to read it.
I've been in deep, guys. I'm not going to lie. I've been in deep into the internet.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty...
Yeah.
That's deep.
Woof.
Well, who names a cat Mrs. Norris?
Right.
Who calls his wife Mrs. Norris, though? So.
Well, some people do.
Well, I mean, it might not be his wife. The wife part is a stretch, but oh my gosh.
I'm convinced. I'm convinced.
It's his mom?
Oh my gosh, you know what?
I would keep my mom as a cat.
Yes, you would.
I would keep my mom as anything. If my mom was a great white shark, I would find a way.
Well, I almost feel like Mrs. Norris, like, maybe she has no relation to Filch, but Dumbledore is a collector of poor souls and giving them some sort of, meaning or whatever, and he probably gave Filch his job and Mrs. Norris to look after.
There's a story there. I can feel it.
Wow, yeah.
It's going to be a new spin-off movie, isn't it?
You should write it, so.
Shall I? I don't know how much.
Filch and Norris.
Filch and Norris. Okay. So, to sort of round things off then, let's kind of say, like, overall, so Phil loved the last 15 minutes. Would you say overall you liked the film, or...
1 out of 10.
Yeah, come on, let's do this. Let's rank.
Sorry. 1 to 10, sorry. Not 1 out of 10.
I was going to say, wow. What do you give a movie you don't like?
I will give it 6.5 out of 10.
Ooh, okay, tough crowd. Tough crowd.
If the last 15 minutes hadn't been so good, I would have given it 4 out of 10.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. Oh.
Oof. Okay, Sophie?
I think it's I need a rewatch. At the moment, I'm gonna say it's a 7.5 out of 10. There were sections that just were a bit filler for me, but it is setting up the next one very well. But overall, I really, really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to as well. So, yeah, a high 7.75 out of 10. What about you, Shelby?
You mean 9
3
3/4?
quarters?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe it's 9 3/4.
I was going to, in a very nice whole round number, give it a 7 out of 10. Although maybe it's 7 7/8. I don't know. But I really enjoyed it. I thought that, I know some people probably will have a problem with the amount of people who show up and the names we recognize, but I actually really liked that concept, specifically in the wizarding world.
What about you, Brian?
I'm going to give it a hard 7 right now until the next movie explains the whole Dumbledore Creech thing.
Creech.
Creech. Oh my gosh.
If they can explain that well enough and not like an eye-rolly contrived manner, I might jack it up to like an 8.5, 9, because I actually really did. I've liked both of these movies a lot, so
We're probably going to go see it again.
I would.
I think it
it's
needs a
good.
rewatch.
I would
actually.
see it again.
Yeah.
Which says something, because
Yeah.
You're usually a one and done.
If it's no, he mic drops, don't you? It's like it gets to the end. No.
If there's no Churchill in it,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our show. Thank you guys so much for listening to Pods and Ends episode 1.
Yay!
We love engaging with you guys on social media, so please let us know what you thought of any of these topics in any of our segments. You can find us at
PNE_pod on both Twitter and Instagram.
Come give us a follow, guys.
Most def. You can also email us at contact@podsandends.com, and we have podsandends.com as a website as well. There might not be a whole lot there right now, but eventually it will become fleshed out.
Yes, we're building everything up. It's exciting. We're new. Give us a review on...
That rhymed.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Give us a review on iTunes, especially, or any other reviewing place.
Podknife.
Podknife, Podbean.
Stuff. Pod,
Yeah.
Podbean. Pod.
Podo.
Potty,
Catchers.
Potterson.
Podverse.
Pod. Poddington Bear.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's our show. Thanks. Bye.
Ciao for now.
Bye.
See ya.